Over 5,000 board games come out every single year, constantly showing up on your social media feeds, on Facebook, on Instagram, whatever YouTubers you follow, whatever content creators you follow, on TikTok, on Instagram again. They're all over the place and they're constantly begging you to spend your time, money, and attention on them. And so many of them just aren't worth that. Don't get me wrong, most of the games that come out are pretty good, but there's a lot that aren't good, and then from the vast majority that are pretty good, they're also not necessarily memorable. With over 5,000 games coming out every single year, only a handful of those are really worth your time and attention, and so the question is, how do you find them? Hi, I'm Alex Radcliffe from the YouTube channel Board Game Co. If you like this video, a like and subscribe is always helpful. I also have a Ko-Fi, Patreon, and YouTube memberships if you like any behind-the-scenes content. Links to all of that down below. Today I'm going to talk about how to find the best board games. In an absolute sea flooded with too many games, how do you find the very best board games every single year? Keeping in mind that in 2025, I think there was around 6,700 or so games came out. That number is surprisingly consistent these past few years, between 6,000 to 7,000. I know I started by saying over 5,000, but generally the past few years have seen 6,000 to 7,000 games come out every single year. The vast majority you will never ever hear of, but even by the time you filter it all down, there's generally 500 to 1,000 games that seem worth getting. No one can play that many games. No one can get that many games. So how do you find the games that are really worth your time, money, and attention? And today I'm going to go through 5 ways to do so. Not necessarily 5 ways, almost more of a 5-step process. A filtering system you can and should use if your priority is to spend your time and money with the most degree of precision on things that are worth that time and money, to not be flooded by so many things that you forget about and don't care about a year down the road, 6 months down the road, 2 months down the road, or after a single play, assuming they even get played to begin with. But before I go into these 5 things, I will start by saying that these goals, these tips, they're designed to get you to the best games, and they are a filtering process. And inherently, any filtering process means you might miss out on hidden gems. That is just the way it works. The reality is you are either trying to focus on the best of the best, or you're trying to focus on as many as possible. You may very well miss out on hidden gems because you're applying this filtering process. So you will almost certainly, if you cut down your time, effort, and attention from spending it on 200 games to trying to spend it only on 30 to 40 and to see how those fare for you, some of those 200 may have been the best games you've ever played. The vast majority of them would be games that weren't worth it for you. So understand that kind of cost that you're paying going into this, but that's the nature of any system. Again, the reality is no matter what you do, you can't play them all. So I guess the first tip 0 out of 5, is understand that no matter what you do, you inherently and already can't get to everything. So the thought process, the idea that, well, what if I miss out on that golden, incredible game that I will never get to play? That already might be happening. You're just trying to balance your time, money, and attention as best as possible. Which brings us to tip number 1. Focusing on the best games by some general consensus and starting there. I highly recommend BoardGameOfTheYear.org, and while this video is not sponsored by them, this is an excellent segue to talk about our channel sponsor, Allplay. Allplay.com is a site where you can get anything from board game shelves to board game tables to a variety of excellent board games. As much as this video is talking about the best ways to filter down to the best of the best, Allplay themselves, they filter the people that they work with, trying to only work with creators that they truly believe in and partner with. And so if you go to allplay.com, you can find a lot of great games, and yes, you should apply all the rules in this video to those games as well to make sure you are playing the best of the best for you. But check out allplay.com, I'll have a link to them down below. And back to the first tip, BoardGameOfTheYear.org. If you check out BoardGameOfTheYear.org, they are a site that they kind of aggregate the opinions and reviews from content creators across the industry. Which means if you go there, you can find 2025's best games, not based on any one content creator, but based on the aggregate of opinions of a lot of content creators, hundreds of content creators who have fed into their grouping. It's basically Rotten Tomatoes-ish, but for board games, so you can see not just, oh, you know, my favorite game this past year was Recall. all. But on the other hand, you can see that the best game of the year might have been something else based on the aggregate of opinions. You're not limiting yourself to a single person, you are having hundreds of opinions of reviewers filter into this so you can find the best games in any given year. Go to 2023 and see the best 10 games of 2023 according to all of these opinions, and start there. Start with games that have that critical degree of reception as opposed to focusing on everything across the spectrum, which again will be frankly overwhelming. You can find the best games of all time, they do that as well, and you can find the best games of any given year, and you can start there to get your your shopping list of the things that are well reviewed and well regarded by a lot of people in the industry. But this is just step one. Step two is looking at Board Game Geek, because this is the same. Steps 1 and 2 kind of have that same aspect where you're looking at the general audience opinion and the general critic opinion, and you're trying to find the best games within those. And you can kind of do these steps in either order. The thing you're looking for is things that overlap on those two steps, because step 2 is going to Board Game Geek and finding out if that game, and I'll do this in a few ways, but finding out if that game that you found, so let's say Referral. Referral was one of my favorite games from last year. Go to Board Game Geek and see what the average rating is. If it's below a 7.5, or honestly, if it's a 7.5 or below, ignore it. I'm not saying it's not a good game. I'm not saying it might not be a 10 out of 10 for you, but so many games are good, and the goal of this is to find the great, to find the ones that are really incredibly well regarded. If the game is a 7.5 or below with a minimum of 100 ratings, then ignore that game. And again, you could do this in either order. You can go to Board Game Geek. In the top right corner, there's Advanced Search. You can go to Advanced Search and search for only games that have a 7.5 rating or above, or 7.6 or above, with a minimum of 100 ratings. You can search by any given year. You can search with a variety of criteria, but you can do that kind of plugin and say, I only want to see games that are in that grouping. And then again, in reverse, you can go to boardgameoftheyear.org once you have that game and see what the general consensus from critic opinions are. That way, between steps 1 and 2, regardless of which order you do them in, you are basically finding the games that fit both criteria. They are well regarded by reviewers in the industry, and they are well regarded by the audience in the industry. Yes, you could do just one of those things, but if the goal of this video is a filtering process to get you to the very best games, ideally do both of those things. Now, this entire video is going to have several things that fall by the wayside as you do this. You might find that game on BGG that looks incredible, but the reviewers didn't care for it. Or vice versa, you might find that. And you might sit to yourself and say, well, I still want to play that game. You do you. Absolutely you do you. Figure out which of these things you want to ignore, which of these things you want to power past. The goal here is to try to find the general best regarded things, and like I said already, there are going to be casualties along the wayside as you do so. It is obviously up to you at any given point to sit there and say, no, I'm going to ignore that selection because I'm really interested in that game. In which case, fine, the more of these filters you apply, the smaller your end pool will be, and the more time you'll have to play the things that are hopefully the best of the best, as opposed to constantly searching for the best of the best. Step number 3, ensure the mechanics, art, and optimal player count are things that are all in alignment with what you are interested in. Stop trying to power past them. This is a common thing that we see. A game that was regarded as the #1 game of the year by both the audience and by BGG. Everyone's in agreement, this game is amazing. But historically, you don't like campaign games, and it's a campaign game. Or the game really is best at 4 to 5 players, and you barely ever play 4 to 5 players. You primarily play 2 to 3, but it's so good you absolutely must have it. Or it's just incredibly well regarded, but the mechanics and art don't appeal to you, or either one of those things, but you find yourself trying to power past those things because you're like, but everyone loves it, so I must love it too. If a game doesn't seem like it's the kind of thing that would have resonated with you, don't try to ignore that just because the game is well regarded. And this is for 2 reasons. First of all, this is a filtering process. By trying to power past things you don't like, why add those additional barriers? But the other aspect is you have to imagine that for most people, when they review things or get things in the first place, they are doing so based off of things that are interesting to them. If somebody were to review I don't know, what's a good example? If someone were to review the best Mexican restaurant in town and you don't like Mexican food, it's just not your type of thing. Don't try to power past it. Those opinions are generally going to be from people who are the target audience for that, and if you're not, those ratings and opinions don't apply to you. I see this time and time again from people doing this. I've done it myself. Sometimes the hype carries you past your actual interest in that thing. If your interest in that thing is down here, Don't let it get higher just because a bunch of people think it's amazing. Now, people putting things on your radar, that's absolutely viable. If you've never heard of this game, and because of the hype you now have heard of it, that's totally fine. The question is when you look at the mechanic and you're like, but I don't like trick-taking, unless the vast majority of opinions are, I didn't like trick-taking and I still love this, then you should be ignoring those games. Do not try to power pass the mechanics, the art, the optimal player count, anything about the game, the genre the game is. If you don't like war games, you don't like trick-taking, you don't like drafting, you don't like cooperative or solo, don't try to power pass things that make the game not a game for you. Step number 4. Know which friends and or content creators you generally align with on tastes, and then make sure that game works with them. This is again a filtering process. Whether you ignored step 1 or 2, hopefully not both of them, but you found the game, it's well regarded by BoardGameOfTheYear.org, it's well regarded by BGG or the general audience opinion, but now you know that you have friends or content creators who you align with. Did it work for them? Now, it doesn't have to work for everyone. If there's 3 or 4 reviewers, let's say reviewers for this example, if there are 3 or 4 reviewers who you generally align with on tastes, if they like a game, there's a good chance that you like that game. If it worked for 2 of them, but not the 3rd, that's good enough. You're never going to find a perfect matching record with anyone, whether friends or content creators, you're just not going to find that. But there should be at least some general consensus. If the game is well regarded by reviewers, well regarded by the audience, it aligns with you on mechanics, art, all of those things, but then of the 3 reviewers you generally align with, none of them liked it, this is a good time to back out and say this game's probably not for me as well. Because there generally is a alignment between types of personalities and the things that they like. I love card-driven games that have a ton of cards that mix together to give you a puzzle to figure out that plays out differently every single time. And if other people don't like that, if there's someone else who likes specifically games that are incredibly planned out the whole way through, there's minimal luck or changes, it's all about optimizing around that game, different people like different things, and you want to know who you align with to see if this game works for them. And then step 5, don't, and this is the biggest one, I have said this in so many videos over the years, and I will say it again and again and again. Don't consider getting a game until it has been out for a minimum of a year, ideally 2. And this is one of the hardest ones. This entire video is about trying to filter down to what works best for you. But the biggest problem is if you're watching this video, you are probably someone, like myself, like many others, who was victim to the buzz. You hear about all those great games at Gen Con that people have been getting their hands on and have been loving. You hear about the SN releases that are slowly making their way over and you're trying to figure out, okay, great, I've heard so much about this great game, the art looks beautiful, the production looks beautiful, all the content creators are coming back with it in their hall, my friends have been playing it. There are so many gems that constantly come out every single year. This hobby is flooded with good board games, and it also has a good amount of great board games too. And so there's always that fear of, I need to get that newest thing before I can't anymore, which usually is pretty silly because usually, not always, but 99% of the time, great games become available on a regular basis. You might miss out on Wave 1, because Wave 1 might sell out because there's so much hype and buzz and it might be hard to get your hands in it, but it will be available again. Almost always. There are exceptions, but again, recognize, but a big central premise of this is recognize that you can't play everything all the time anyways, so getting too hung up on the fact that you might miss out on something is a waste of time. You are going to miss out on things. This is not about missing out on things, this is about trying to optimize your time, and the vast majority of great games will stay in print because they are great games. That's exactly why they'll be in print. They might be not available now, they'll be available in a year. And the thing about that is so often, your strongest level of interest in any given thing is at the time when it's new and exciting and people are talking about it, which means you're not interested in that game because it's good. You're interested in that game because everyone else is excited about it and you're just following yourself going along for that ride. If you wait a year, ideally 2, before getting any game that has come out, then 2 things happen. The first is that lots of things stop being interesting a year or 2 later. If no one is talking about how good that game is in a year from now, then it wasn't good enough to be worth your time and attention. It means that it was the thing that was good in 2025, but it wasn't good enough to power past that and still be good in 2026 and 2027. Think about some of the best games in your collection right now. Think about how many of them are generally well regarded even though they came out a year, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9 years ago. The best games truly do stand the test of time, and they are not the thing that's in at the moment. They are a thing that's just good, period. The second thing that happens is whether the game is good or not, your own personal level of interest does shrink when you're past the hype phase. Which means even if it is a good game, that's still regarded a year from now, 2 years from now, suddenly that need, that urgency of getting that game does drop. It goes down over time. It's a good thing because it means that you're now focusing on, do I want this game because it's great, or do I want this game because it's the buzz? You should be playing games because they're great. You shouldn't be playing games because it's the buzz. Now again, as with everything in this video, you do you. If that makes you happy, if that's what you want to do, by all means. But if you made it this far into the video, then you might not be the target audience for someone who's trying to limit the things that they play. There are a lot of great games that come out every single year. My most common review on the channel, I say this all the time, my most common review on the channel, my most common score is going to be a 3.5 out of 5. A 7 out of 10, if you were. That's a good game. Many games are good. But I also have a full video out there, I'll link to it down below, where I say a 3.5 isn't a recommendation. Not because it's not good, but because there's so many good games that my recommendations are really 4 and above. When a game is a 4, that's already hitting a level where it's like, okay, great, it's a 4 out of 5, it's a great game, I think you should get this game. Or I think you should try it out at the very least. But 3.5s are abundant. Lots of things in life are good. Not everything that's good is worth your time and attention, especially when hundreds of good games come out every single year, and most people don't have time to play hundreds of new games every single year. If you follow these 5 steps, you'll find yourself being pulled in by fewer games, and you'll find yourself focusing on those that have the largest chance of resonating with you and being something that was truly worth your time, money, and attention. Once again, a quick recap. Start with boardgameoftheyear.org or Board Game Geek in either order to find games that are well regarded by both the reviewers and by the audience. Then from there you go to step 3, ensuring the mechanics, art, optimal player count, type of game, everything about that game should be the kind of thing that you are the target audience for. Step number 4, make sure that friends or reviewers that you align with, to some extent, have liked that game. Find just enough something out there to validate that you are the type of person who might like that game. And step number 5, don't even bother getting a game until it's been out for a minimum of a year, ideally at least 2, to allow the hype and buzz, both your own and the industry's, to have subsided to let actual gems shine through, as opposed to just hype and buzz shining through. I hope you found this video in some way helpful. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Hope you enjoyed this, and as always, I hope you have a good one.